Hello, everyone, either here in our studio or you who are watching right now on the LinkedIn, on YouTube, and welcome to another Innovatology episode, which this time is something really unique that we didn't have here yet, and it's about self-defense for you. But before we will jump into this topic, let me just introduce briefly Innovatology, which is one-stop shop for the latest tech and innovations. And our main objective is to decode these new things out there for you, how you can efficiently then improve your personal or professional life. So I'm Marie, I'm the co-founder of Innovatology, and I'm also here with
The other
yes,
part of innovatology.
with
Uh,
Cedric. And we are also here with Kevin.
Coach Kevin Kearns from Burn with Kearns, not Burns. That's a joke. Get it? He burns after Kearns after I train you. I am a technically wellness transformation coach. That's my main title, which means I work with people one-on-one, corporations, as well as online. Now I also teach self one-on-one with corporations, and I'm also a keynote speaker because believe it or not, I actually can write. I don't know why people listen to me, but I can write. I've written 2 books, one on anti-bullying because I am the original Karate Kid, so they stole it from me.
Quite funny because I just saw the Karate Kid on Netflix, the latest season.
Oh, so I literally am the original Karate Kid. My father passed away. This is his ring when I was just 12. Great guy, just ate and drank too much, and I was getting picked on all the time. A close uncle taught me taking karate, and I've spent 40 years now in and out of martial arts. That led to strength training. Didn't realize I was strong. Got into bodybuilding, ended up getting my degree in exercise physiology back in 1990 and started my company then, believe it or not. And I've kind of done just about everything. Well, actually, I've done a lot in this business. Still do one-on-one, still do corporate. I've owned a gym. Happiest days when I bought the gym. Second happiest days when I sold it. I've done studios. I've worked for corporations. My biggest claim to fame, if you want to call it that, is I was the strength coach for 15 UFC fighters. And then I put a system together on DVD for you young kids, DVD, that never expected to take off, and it exploded. It went global. That turned into a certification program that I ran till about the pandemic. So that's
Nice.
basically what I do.
Well, I still remember this,
Wow.
so it's still not that old.
DVD.
Also, I was so jealous about my brother because he was the DVD, because for me it was cassettes. And I was like, you just had like, 10 cassettes for your whole childhood and that's it. But he could have like, for example, 300 DVDs. And I was so jealous about that, like how the technology goes forward. Do
I
you
kind of I
also?
kind of miss the days where you kind of can turn around the
The
video,
pencil,
go to a shop.
the cassette player in your car, and then it got unraveled, and you go, "How do you do that? I gotta get the pen in there and do that."
Those were the days.
Back a little bit. I'll jump back a little further. I'm back from the day where there was 8 tracks for a while.
And do you
That was
do the coach transformation also online?
Online groups, we're actually launching another app very soon. I don't know how that works over in Europe, but over in this country, with people have workman's compensation or say a car accident or accident that's insurance based, after they go to a doctor, the doctor prescribes physical therapy, excuse me, and then that's considered acute care. After the acute care, they send them someplace. It's into us
Mm.
because let's just say Cedric, God forbid, got in an accident, hurt his neck. Okay, we'll have him do all these exercises for 8 to 10 weeks. Okay, now you get a clean bill of health, go back to work. But what's going to keep Cedric working out? Go get a gym membership. He's going to go like, well, I know these neck exercises. What else do I do? So we're the group that integrates. Because I'm fortunate with my certification company that we actually certified over 10 years. I certified 2,417 trainers globally. I haven't been to Belgium yet, though. I'm
Wow,
coming.
cool. And in which country are you based?
If you can't tell with my accent, I'm Bostonian.
Estonian. Okay. So now we know how does it work in Boston, but I think it's really similar here in Europe as well. Like when you have accident, I, for example, had a problem with my shoulder, and then I was at a surgery, and they prescribed me, for example, 30 physiotherapist with the trainer, and then we worked on like the movement of the whole shoulder in the gym. So it's something similar that you also have in Boston.
Yeah, not to interrupt. It's a little different. I think you guys are a little bit more efficient than we are, to tell you the truth. I think physical therapy is a little bit more progressive over in Europe than it is here, to believe it or not.
Oh,
And
really?
technically, yes, and technically, I live in Rhode Island right now, which is one state connected. I mean, basically, they call Rhode Island, it should be just like a city because it's that small. Um, I know after traveling several times in Europe, I'll share the story real quick. I'm walking through the oh, what airport was it? One of your airports in wasn't the big one of the smaller airports. I'm walking through that, the John Lennon Airport. I think it's the John Lennon Airport. And I looked up at a map of Europe. I go, wow, no offense to you guys. I go, it really is smaller when you think about it. I
Definitely.
mean, you know, um, and I appreciate where you guys come from because you can literally take a train in probably 3 hours or fly an hour and they're speaking a completely different language. If I go to California, they might look at me funny, but I'm still speaking English, when it's a 6 hour flight. So it amazed me at how condensed, even though Europe's big, how condensed it is compared to the US sometimes. And I actually, I mean, to be honest, I actually love being over there. I haven't been to Italy or Greece yet. My girlfriend keeps bugging me. I'm like, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
Even like when we're here in Belgium, it doesn't even take 3 hours. Like 1 hour, and you're already in a different country, like Germany or France. I was really curious about with your background story, like UFC fighters. How how did you get in touch with them, and how does it, like, what do you focus on with them? Like if we're gonna talk about self-defense for you, and also, like, let's say the transformation of yeah, well-being, how does that
Mhm.
work for UFC fighters?
That's a great question. So I didn't concentrate on the martial art aspect of it. That's their coaches. I was their strength conditioning coach. So it's a great question, Cedric. And this is and you're probably what, all of 25?
Thank you for the compliment, but I'm 32.
Okay, all right. You're still a puppy, okay? Because look, 58, okay, and I don't do curls.
Holy
Last two
moly.
week, last month, 58. And for my 57th birthday, just for shits and giggles, excuse my French, one of my clients bet me I couldn't push a Ford F-150 up a hill, which was 14,000 pounds, so I did.
Wow.
Because I'm a little, anyway. So, I go out and speak on anti-bullying. I go out and speak in front of schools or corporations, and they say, what was your plan? My plan was no plan. You know what I am? I work hard. I take risk, opportunities. So I was training at Sit Yatong, Mark Delagrati's gym. He's a world-class striking coach. That's why you'll see a lot of Thai on me, because I'm technically at my base martial arts Thai boxing. And this was when UFC started really taking off in the States. I mean, it's exploded now, but it was really taking off. And I saw some of the amateur fighters. Just making sure my AirPods are working. Guys, we're good, right? Okay. I saw some of the UFC fighters, and it was, remember, the sport was still kind of in its infancy then, in the early 2000s, and they're working out like bodybuilders. So I might look like a bodybuilder, but I gave it up years ago. I'm an athlete. I don't do curls for girls. No offense, Marie. It's a joke. Anyway, because it's not functional. That's where Europe was ahead of the game with our functional training. So, long story short, or short story long, Kenny Florian, one of the fighters that was on the UFC, what do they call that? The UFC fighter show. They had the fighters in it. Now they're doing it again. They had the fighters in the house fighting off. He made it to the finals, ended up losing in the finals, but they kept him on for contract. So he was up for a championship fight against Sean Shirk in 2006. Now, his strength coach was younger than me. He didn't know what I knew. Not that I know everything, because I don't. And I showed him different flexibility techniques, everything else. And when he was going for a championship fight, I got this. I think the Italians call it a kundalini, this feeling, like this inspiration. And I said, I'm stretching him out at his house. And I said, hey, Kenny, why don't I come out on my own dime? In other words, pay my own way to the fight. I go, my own hotel room, this, that, the other thing. and I'll stretch you and do all the stuff that I do because I want you to win the fight. I did. He lost the fight, fought his ass off, excuse the expression, was a bloodbath, and then hired me. And then I did so well with him, other fighters went, what's this? And Mark kept pushing him to me. And then a year later, my marketing manager, God rest his soul, said, I got a great idea. You've done one DVD that's not going well. Why don't we do Burma Kearns, the basement tapes for MMA conditioning? We did it on a shoestring. I filmed it, and Marie will like this because she likes DVDs. We did 3 DVDs. We had invested for $25,000. We lost it because the market crashed here. I took $10,000 out of my house, did it. I filmed, edited, cover design, and had 1,000 of each made, and they were sitting in my garage, my third bay in my garage. That was my distribution company. We did all that for $10,000, and we made our money back in a week.
Wow.
So that's, I mean, it's a long story. So that's why I look at kids all the time when I say, like, you won't hear me say can't. I won't say can't, could have, should have, would have. I won't use those words because look at what we're doing now. You know, you're young people, okay? I'm 58. This was like, what? We're talking, you're in Belgium. This didn't happen. You know, now, you know, Dick Tracy, I can talk to you by watch. So the idea is kind of like your company. I mean, when you really think about it, it's innovation. I innovated a different conditioning system. And I built a brand, didn't even know I was building a brand because I was writing, at one point I was writing for 5 MMA magazines. I'm a C- in English. I don't know why they want to listen to me. But it was content driven. That's basically how it happened.
We are going a lot to the different biohacking conferences where we are, for example, interested in the ice bath and a lot of innovations in the health because this is also something that is many times forgotten when it comes to the business or tech companies and corporations. And the health, there are a lot of innovations, but sometimes it's also going even rather backwards into the roots of the humanity, put yourself in the stress, ice bathing, breathing, grounding, etc. What would you tell to our audience who is now listening that because currently we see a lot of boost in the technology, and the technology is doing a lot of stress and the radiation exposure, etc., which is many times harming our bodies.
Absolutely.
What would you actually tell them as an advice, what you have, for example, incorporated in your daily routine, or what do you advise to your clients that they should do in their daily life, for example?
Excellent question. Thank you, Marie. First off, put this thing down a lot, okay? Because Mel Robbins, great podcast. I think she's number 3 in the world. She had Dr.
She's
K
really
on
good.
I don't know if you heard the thing on Dr. K that what they're talking for you young people, you need to know this, that you're going to spend 20 years of your life on this. I don't know about you, but that's not good enough for me. Yeah, look at Cedric. He's like, what? 20 years?
Wow.
Now for me, I'm
he doesn't
58.
listen
I don't
to
want
Mel Robbins.
I don't listen to her yet.
So what happens is Dr. K was saying that it squeezes out your if I get this right, your dopamine, because it's giving you a hit, of dopamine. So it's squeezing that out. It's instant. The problem with this thing nowadays, it's instant gratification. So what I tell my clients, I go, shut it off, shut it down. Stay off your screen. Stay away from scrolling. I have 3 emails I have to monitor. I have LinkedIn. I've got 22,000 followers on LinkedIn, 5,000 on one Facebook, 5,000 on the Instagram, the whole bit. And I have to monitor that daily. But I hit it and quit it, for lack of a better word. I'll go and post. I might look around, but if it has nothing to do with business, I'm out. You'll see people spending hours watching cat videos. I go, what's the point? And I think it's almost like fashion, okay? Everything's cyclical. What goes around comes around, goes around comes around. In the 60s, bell bottoms were big, now they came back, right? You just never know. So I think with COVID, what happened is when you look at what happened during COVID, we went to isolation, and it drove people crazy. I mean, mental health is through the roof. That's why I wrote a book on it, because I went through that whole thing and almost committed suicide, the whole bit, really bad. It's in my second book, There's Light in the Tunnel. We are social beings. So I would tell people with this, get back to going to meetings, get back to going to trade shows, get back to going to meet for coffee. Don't like if we were in like a country over or whatever, I'd be like, okay, I'm in Ireland. Okay, Cedric and Marie, I'll be there tomorrow by train, just so we could have that connection. Because when they really think about it, I think it was 20 years, they said we're all energy, right? We're made up of maybe 5% of this other stuff, but we're all energy. And that's extremely important to get that human connection going all the time. This is good, but be comfortable with what you're doing. I mean, when you look at it now, we had hardlines years ago. Nobody had, excuse my English, because I'm Boston, hardlines. We had hardlines, and now everybody uses their phone for everything. Nobody has a home line anymore. So
Except
I
for my
really
grandmother,
think,
she still uses her landline.
exactly.
There are
So
still some people.
I tell clients to go shut it off at night. Don't look at it, because they've proven that looking at that blue screen breaks your sleep cycle. Well, guess what? Going back to what you said about ice baths, sleep is extremely important. And let me tell you, as you get older, it becomes even more important. And if you're an athlete, it's hugely important, because there's no better type of recovery than sleep. There isn't. It's what we need.
You've made me really think about it, because like I know what you're saying, like monitoring, let's say, or have to monitor a lot of emails, LinkedIn from time to time, but I do get stuck sometimes mindlessly scrolling, and then like after half an hour I'm like, what have I actually been doing? What did I actually see? What value did that actually add into my life? Well, do you have like a tip or a trick that where you consciously, like you say it, hit it and quit it? Like, what helps you in hitting it and quitting it?
It's a great question, Cedric, and I appreciate your honesty. I think the biggest thing, and Joe Rogan said it best, who's an old friend he's from Newton, Massachusetts. When motivation dies, discipline has to take over. You have to be disciplined. You have to discipline yourself. I think self-discipline is probably one of the hardest things. Self-discipline and self-love for yourself is one of the hardest things, right? Because we doubt ourselves. And then look how intelligent you are. You're 32. So you grew up with a lot of this. Both of you did, but Marie's like 27. But anyway,
Thank
so
you.
you grew up with this. So you grew up with this, right? So it's become part of your life. But you had the intelligent mindset to go, what value did I get out of that? Most people don't. They're just doing this. They're just doing this. They're
For
just
me,
doing this.
what really helped me is like to become a content creator, that I actually discovered how long I actually take time on the phone, that I can actually leverage it for my own business, for my own branding, etc. That when I catch myself scrolling, I'm like, I just could like 5 minutes spend time to actually create a content for my social media instead of being a consumer, because being a consumer doesn't add anything to my business. It's just like a
Excellent.
draining my brain. And so like every time
Excellent.
when after 5 minutes I catch myself scrolling, I'm like, let's become the creator rather than consumer, because it just adds more value to your day.
Well, and I love what you just said. What did you just say? A consumer. Okay, so remember, I grew up differently than both of you, and that's not a knock. Okay, we only had 4 or 5 channels on TV. When you ordered something, you ordered it in the catalog, and you had to wait for it for weeks. It's instant gratification. This is what this gives you. So Dr. K made this good example of, before Facebook was to get in touch with people, then you got social, whatever they want to call it, social honoring by somebody liking it. Ooh, they liked it. Ooh, they liked it. And it's get those dopamine hits. But dopamine is like a lemon. You can only squeeze so much out of it. So your intelligence might say value. And what did Marie say? Consumer. Back when my day, you were a customer. Your TV broke, you brought it to a TV repairman, you didn't throw it out. We've become consumers. Doesn't work? I have to upgrade my phone. Why? Because they make it obsolete. I have to upgrade my car. I have to upgrade my computer, right? My tape deck broke. Well, you throw it out and get a new one. That's the problem. Is we're doing exactly what you said, Marie. We're consuming versus creating.
I think that's very true. And to be very honest, for me, that's also one of the reasons why we started, let's say, this channel with Innovatology.
Huge.
Is to avoid getting consumed by it, but let's say still leverage it where you're an active part of it, not a passive part of it, and it just consumes you.
Perfect. Not to interrupt. Perfect word, Cedric. You have said leverage. How do I leverage my time? Because let's face fact. At the end of the day, doesn't matter how much money you have, right? Doesn't matter. Your health matters, but at the end of the day, what is the biggest commodity? Your time, because you don't have an infinite amount. You have a finite, and you ain't gonna get it back.
I have
Definitely,
a
time is the
question.
most constrained resource
I have
or
a
scarce
question
resource.
regarding
Sure.
there is like on your LinkedIn written that you are corporate wellness consultant. So does it mean that you are actually providing consultations to a big companies?
UPS, Tufts Medical Systems, Granite Telecommunications, Pegasystems, companies like that.
So they like hire you to actually give consultations about how to increase the well-being of the employees.
Yeah, I would think more of what I do is usually what's called an employee benefit side. So, how do I keep them healthy? How do I increase morale? How do I keep them going? So we had a class going for about 18 months, and it came, as Cedric would say, well, how'd you get into it? I fell into it, and then when I get that feeling, I just roll. You pay attention to the clues, and everything life leaves clues. So we had a class called White Collar Fight Club, which was hitting and holding pads, Thai boxing. Now, in the setting I had at Granite Telecommunications, it was huge, but it was more of a CrossFit mentality. We won't even get into CrossFit, please, because you don't want to hear what I want to say about that. Ugh. Anyway, you
I'm
can
really
kind of figure that out.
interested about your opinion because a lot of my friends currently do CrossFit actually in Czech Republic. It's like super popular, like, and everybody is into it.
We'll get into that in a second.
Okay.
So it was a CrossFit mentality, right? So I only had a certain amount of space, probably 1,500 square feet, so I couldn't fit more than 25 people. I started the class with a couple of people that took off. Okay, White Collar Fight Club, hitting and holding pads. But what I discovered is the morale went through the roof. So you and Cedric in a class, and he's holding pads for you, I'm holding pads for me, and hitting, occasionally missing. Oh, yeah. And then what I found from my people was that we eat lunch together. They were becoming more social by being in class together, working together. We call it sweating and smiling, because I've been a martial artist that's my first nature. Martial arts, functional training, yoga. Those are my foundations. I have to have all of it, or I'm toast. Toast. That's me. That's what I do.
Yoga is an interesting third one because I mean I like to exercise, but for me yoga is one of the most difficult things because it's
Well, okay. Let's
against
expand
my
on that real quick.
nature.
Why?
Because you have to be much calmer and like you need to stretch. Whereas usually I came more from the sports where you're just active, and like
Good.
yoga.
Good. So the biggest piece of yoga I want you to get, I used to call it yogurt. Okay. So besides my divorce, which one of my greatest things my ex-wife gave me was my divorce and my 2 kids. Besides that, make sure when you get married, be careful. Anyway, had to throw that in there. I got into yoga 16 years ago, believe it or not. And what I noticed was yoga teaches you many things. One of which is, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's life. And the way I look at that, you can probably count on one hand, how many flights have you had that you're going, holy crap, this plane, we're going to die. How many flights have you had? I bet you can count at least 4, right, in your life?
Yeah, probably even less than 4, like 3.
Yeah, and that's the epitome of get comfortable being uncomfortable. Somebody else is in control. You're like, holy crap, we're 3 miles up, we're going to die, but you're really not. So yoga puts you in that position where, oh my God, I'm in Warrior 2. My arms are shaking, my legs are shaking. Does anybody look at me? I feel fat. And the monkey mind goes. And you got to sit there and go, shut up. Because yoga means union. And yoga was created because people couldn't sit still with their own thoughts. So it's a good exercise for yourself. And I always tell young people, I'm going to tell you're young people, that's not a knock. I'm 58. So I'm going to tell you you're young. Okay. I wish I did it your age. Okay. So if you can unless Marie does it, if you can go back to that and try it, just try it and give yourself that space to go, okay, I don't like this. Now, this is the first time I'm going to use this word, but I'm curious. Okay. I don't like this, but I'm curious. So it's taught me a lot of things. One of the things that yoga's taught me is you have different types of strength, and we'll get into this. This will dovetail into CrossFit. I think I just threw up in my mouth. Anyway, you have isotonic strength, which is regular strength training, range of motion. You have isokinetic, which is strength training with speed involved. Then you have isometric. Now, isometric is the oldest form of strength there is, being able to hold a position. Well, guess what? That's an important foundation, and most conditioning programs, especially in the gym, don't do it. That's the problem. Think about it. When you're standing in line, you're technically isometric to contract a lot of muscles, aren't you?
I think that I do yoga and I really love it. It's really something either yin or yang or whatever. Like it's a really stimulating different kind of the muscles. Cedric, he's really like doing triathlons and really something active, tennis, paddle, and all of these things that it's really about just calming down and to stretch all of the muscles and even getting like deeper into the organs sometimes that you don't usually have this time to really get down and to be just with yourself in, for example, during the tennis match, let's say. And
But it's exactly the point, being uncomfortable with, let's say, your own voice inside your head. Like I've done yoga, let's say during COVID, I did yoga and I did it very consistently because there was not that much else to do. But now when Marie is asking me like, hey, do you want to join me for yoga? I'm like, I'd rather go for a run, or I'd rather do something else. Like, I'm good.
Well, if you can,
but maybe I should be more curious again.
Well, go with that. Be curious. You know, if you can't do twice a week, do once. If you can't do an hour, do 30 minutes.
No worries, we'll trim it out.
Okay. So I hope that answers your question. Now, I'm sure now Marie's dying to go into CrossFit.
yes, that's really something of interest. I don't know what is it about CrossFit. Everybody is talking about CrossFit. All of the Czech Republic is currently doing CrossFit. But me, myself, I tried CrossFit. But it was not really for me. I felt really like rather tired. Like it was really for me disconnecting. Like it put like really fast weightlifting. I like weightlifting, but like when I can really control it. But CrossFit was really uncontrollable weightlifting, which didn't make me good.
Well, here's the problem, right? Glassman came up with CrossFit. He was a gymnast the whole bit. And what he did smartly, okay, intelligently, is he came out with this system that compete against each other, right? And he combined Olympic weightlifting with gymnastic moves, and you had CrossFit boxes compete against each other. Then you had workouts of the day, and then he used the internet to his advantage. Smart guy. The problem is when you look at CrossFit on a whole. Now, I've studied Olympic lifting. I almost was a strength coach for the Olympic Training Center out in Colorado, and the clean and jerk wasn't meant to be done by 4-year-old guys 40 pounds overweight to infinity and beyond. Okay, that's one problem. They can sit there and say all they want about, well, this is he was on 60 Minutes years ago. He's like, they had this woman that looked like bigger than me, clean. He goes, see that 10,000 years ago, that's what she looked like. Don't even go there, please. And the big thing I tell CrossFit people, I go, well, you know what, you want to do CrossFit, fine. We have a surgeon, I forget his name, on the North Shore of Boston. The MMA community knew that it was bad. It burns out your nervous system, okay? So they knew it was bad back in the day. And BJ Penn, one of the greatest fighters, burnt out his nervous system because you can't do that over and over again. It's not good for the body at all. Plus, you have something called rhabdomyolysis. Rhabdomyolysis means you push your muscles so hard, which I'm sure Cedric's probably heard about being a triathlete. You've pushed your muscles so hard that your muscles turn into jelly, you can die. And in CrossFit, the big joke was Uncle Rhabdo. They thought it was funny. I know a kid that was 25 at one of my corporate programs almost died. 25 doing CrossFit. And then this going back to the going back to the surgeon, orthopedic surgeon on the North Shore. I've known him since 2006. He does 4 CrossFit surgeries a week. Shoulders, hips. And then the other argument I would say to them, if they want to go back and forth on stuff, I would sit there and say, okay, number one, Olympic lifting wasn't meant to be like that. The first year you go to the Olympic training camp and learn that clean and snatch, or whatever you want to call it, power jerk, whatever it is, use a broomstick because it's an athletic movement. You can't just teach that right off the box in a classroom setting. The other thing I say to them is, we, as humans, we function in 3Ds, in three planes: forward, lateral, rotational. To get specific, sagittal, right, frontal, and transverse. Well, the rotational plane, they don't rotate. So guess what? If you don't rotate, 90% of injuries are lateral and rotational. If you don't rotate, if you don't train your body to rotate, guess what happens? Your body's unfamiliar with it. So then when you rotate, you get injured. Everybody I told not to go to CrossFit, no, you don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing, coach. 6 months, a year, shit, I blew up my back. I did this, I did that. I go, you have to think about longevity.
Yeah, the rotation is really something that, especially like when nowadays people are sitting in front of the computer, like it's really important, like to stretch, to even find a bit of time to really do, for example, each hour when you are sitting on your chair in front of the computer, as you might even sit while watching us, that every hour to just do some kind of exercise, like stretching in your office at your home.
Absolutely.
It will definitely help you to really because also like I am having Aura Ring, also Cedric has one, and it's like telling you when you should actually, for example, stand up, that you are like having so much
Stand
inactivity.
up.
Exactly. But it's really interesting to monitor your activity, your especially like when you are working, for example, in corporate or having your business, and you can end up like 5 hours in front of your computer really easily like this. It's always nice to have some kind of technology that reminds it to you. And I have a question regarding this, because nowadays there is a lot of technologies everywhere. Like, for example, the Aura Ring, or somebody has like the Apple Watches, or
Apple
there is a lot about like red light being used for like recovery. So, what's your favorite technology that you are usually using in the fitness?
Sleep. I would say sleep and food. As far as technology wise, I mean, those are great ideas. O-ring, the watch. I'm not against that stuff. But like Cedric alluded to, and both of you alluded to, okay, when does it stop? Like I'll go to yoga class, and we're getting ready to class, and people are on their watches, scrolling. People have their phones. I'm like, I'm sorry, you're not that important. Why you want it? And it's not like, well, maybe they have an emergency going on. Well, if they have an emergency going on, why are they there? They can't take 60 minutes. Is the world going to end? So I think those things are good used, as Cedric would say, as he said earlier. I'm going to quote you if I can. What's the value? So if you find value in this, in the ring, in that, great. Me, as far as technology, as far as using technology, I would say right now red light therapy is pretty big with me. I like it. I've got friends, high-level friends that are into it, that know a lot about red light therapy, that are strength trainers. I mean, we're talking like Guinness Book of World Record holders. I got a red light therapy pad for my girlfriend. She loves it. She's got a couple injuries from what she does. She's a hairstylist, so she's on her feet all day. And I think the other thing about technology is this. I'll go back to what I said about bell bottoms. What's old is new. Okay, so things are going to come back. They often do. So let's take example of pressing, right? That's only one purpose of the shoulder. The real purpose of the shoulder is fluidity. Your ancestors, his ancestors were all stick and sword fighters at one point. So in other words, see, it's telling me to get up. So this motion's fine, but this motion, the figure 8, which is stick and sword fighting, is inherently in your DNA, which we should be doing, because this shoulder's connected to this hip, this shoulder's connected to this hip. So it's 4 points in an X. So I like technology when you put that together. She's just like, what was that? I can get a sword in the other room if you want me to show you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I did also martial arts, so
like a sword or a katana.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we are having a bit of show time here.
Showtime, dog and pony stuff. So this is a fake Filipino Chris. That's a Filipino Chris. Okay?
Nice.
It's wavy because when you put it in, it comes out, they bleed. So
Yeah.
let's talk about the angles. If I come this way to recover, I come that way. Make sense? So how is my shoulder working, right? I do things like this.
It's rotating.
That's how your shoulder was made to move. Not just this, not just that. It was made to be fluid, work, and all these fun things. That's the fun part.
That's
Yeah,
cool, bro.
there is also
We didn't see that when we were in the Philippines for
yeah,
my
that's
friend's wedding.
No, you wouldn't say that's a Chris. I mean, I'm more a C-lot now, which I don't have my machetes. They're in the car, my training machetes. But that's the whole idea. Like, I'll give you an example. You've seen the Ninja Turtle sides, right? The pull up the pokey sword up middle with the prongs. So those are in Indonesia. They're called tech. We use them. You want to talk about wrist and forearm strength because you're opening and closing them. Oh, and the way the weapon's designed, but it's all related. This X, or what's known as the Serapi effect, is extremely important. I mean, look at CrossFit; they're not actually do one arm snatches, things like that.
My father, he was the champion of the Czech Republic in Taekwondo, and he always told me that the most important thing in your life is to know how to fall down. That this will like save you everything in your life, because it's like really important to actually learn it from really beginning of the age, to really know how you can fall down when something happened. And it's like really these kind of like natural movements that can really help you with then the different like
Life,
yeah, with life, exactly.
life,
And then you see,
life.
you go to fitness, you go to gym, and you see all of this like machines where people are doing really, yeah, the same kind of, or like with their legs and stuff. And then you are like, yeah, but this is not really the movement that will actually work with your body like 3D, as you said also before, that it should be like you working with your body. You can, of course, have the weight, you can have the sword, etc. But the body is really like the whole dynamic process that you need to stretch, that you need to work with. And it's really interesting how actually the reality is somewhere else than what we can see in the traditional gym, for example.
Exactly. Well, it's more functional. So I appreciate the way you went with that, Marie. So when you look at it in a whole, I believe in this country in the mid 1800s, physical culture became a huge thing over here. Physical culture, okay, became a huge thing. So they were boxing, wrestling, rope climbing, fencing. Kettlebells were handmade. They used globe barbells, like the Popeye barbells, and it was all about grip. And this is 1850, 1860. So you can look up people like Arthur Saxton, Eugene Sandow. I know Ed Cedric's going to be like, I don't know, who are these people? And they looked like they were on steroids, legit. And this was 1860, literally. So you look at that and you say they moved the way the body was intended to move. Not, like you said, sitting down, doing leg extensions. Hey, did you see that TikTok video on the cats? It's not functional, right? It's not reality. What is reality based? That's a different story. What is based in reality? What is the reality of the situation? So falling, huge. I'll give you a quick story. Last year, my girlfriend and I are in Bermuda. And she's never been there, having a great time. We decided to go to Tobacco Bay or something like that, which a lot of fish. We're snorkeling. She climbs down the rocks. I see a boat ramp. Okay. I decide I'm going to go down the boat ramp. As I step down the boat ramp was coral, whatever it was, coral cement or whatever. Okay, what happens over time with the sun and rocks? Algae. Didn't know it. I stepped in this much water. She's over here. I went, oh, fa. My feet went right up in the air. It's our second to last day. If I hadn't taken judo and jiu-jitsu, I brought my head in, tucked it, slapped out because I back fell. And she's like, oh my God, he's dead.
Oh my God.
And she's like climbing on the other side with the flippers. Are you okay? Some Chinese guy taking pictures. Oh, he fell down. I go, yo, stop taking pictures. And she's like, are you? She goes, all I saw was your feet. I'm thinking he just split his head open. I said, I'm good. I didn't break anything, nothing, if I hadn't learned how to fall. Because when you look at the older you get, right? What's the biggest complaint people have? I fell, I broke my hip, they end up dying.
Yeah.
So I would say falling, climbing stairs, from lunging, or squat to stand, stand to squat. They're all important movements.
I want to make the transition here with like let's say those functional movements and your martial arts history. How does the anti-bullying fit into this? Because I mean, I have a history of being bullied. I've never done this in the martial arts, but what do you actually teach people in context of anti-bullying? What does it actually mean, anti-bullying?
Anti-bullying means taking care of yourself. So we have what's called a 4S formula. Speak up for yourself. You got to speak up. You're eventually going to have to stand up for yourself. Stay together. Stay together means, what do you do? So when I go to a classroom, whatever, I say, what are you into? I yell out to the crowd, the kids, what are you into? I'm into swimming, I'm into this, I'm into that, I'm into chess. I go, good. Get with those people and stick with them. That's your people. Those are your crew. They'll bring you up. And you know what? Nobody's going to want to fight you if you had 9, 10 swimmers behind you, or 10 chess players. They're not going to want to fight you. And then the last one is self-defense. Now, self-defense in our 4S formula is mental, emotional, spiritual before it ever gets physical. So you know what I do? I don't build bodies. You know what I do? I empower people. I build confidence. That's what I do. You feel better, you look better, you train. If you work out, we all know what do mental health professionals say. Work out, do something, move and improve, move and improve, move and improve. So if I can, almost every martial arts school, especially over here, I don't know about over there, but over here is the kid that sucked at everything. The kid that was a step behind. The kid that couldn't get on the team. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, now over here they do, well, you have a participation trophy. We don't want to get into that one. You know, well, we're teaching these kids to be pansies. You have to be able to lose. Now, the challenge with anti-bullying, the challenge with bullying now is it doesn't stop at school. Now it's online. Now it's all over the place. So I made it my mission when I wrote my first book, and please send me your addresses. I'll send you both books, or unless you want an audio video, I have it there too. It's on YouTube. I can send it to you. It's private links.
Thank you.
Anytime, anything. If you want written, let me know. I'll send out the written copy. If you want Kindle, I'll send it out. So my mission is, when I first wrote my first book, which was an experience and cathartic. My mission was, if I get one kid to turn and feel like they're not worthless, I won. If I'm on Oprah making millions of dollars, well, I get 2 girls that got to go to college and get married, so that's cool too. So what I do is I empower. I empower people to feel confident. I don't worry about, I'm not the toughest guy in the world. I'm not this, I'm not that. But what I do have? I have a tenacity. I have perseverance. I don't quit. There's no off switch with me. You know, my friends are my friends. I have some of the same friends that I had. We call it this in martial arts. Relationships built on the mat last forever. Because go ahead.
I just wanted to ask about we can get excited with because you said another application that is coming out for your mobile phone. You already have some application, or what application is going to?
Well, we're working on an app right now. So my basement tape series that did so well years ago, people kept bugging me to redo them. So last year we filmed them all. So now my web guy and I are basically putting an app together for that. We have the library built, so we can send people exercises, everything like that. But we're now building the app for that too. And the app's not only going to have the fitness side of it, we're also going to put the self-defense side of it, because my big concentration over here in the States is self-defense for realtors, for people that sell real estate, because the uptick in violence has been huge. Very, very big, for people getting assaulted, murdered, the whole bit. So I'm going after them, and we show them, we give them this type of weapon, believe it or not. Tactical flashlight. Looks like nothing, right?
It looks like a lightsaber, from Star Wars, but like a smaller version of it.
Yeah. See, I can't help but move like that. So this we use like a pocket stick from Filipino martial arts. You put this in your hand, now it makes a bridge. You can't break your hand. You hit with the ends in the arts, you break things. It's beveled, so if you scrape the assailant, he takes off, you turn into the cops, because now you have his DNA. This has gotten on planes, trains, automobiles, events. It's innocuous. Of course they have my logo on it.
Nice. So we can order it somewhere.
We don't have them out for sale, but I can get them for you. We haven't put them up on the website yet. If you want one, I'll send you one. But the fun part is, they see it on a plane. They're like, okay. You walk into it, like, okay. They say nothing.
Yeah, it's a flashlight. Very, very interesting. I think like we've already learned so much in this conversation. I just have one more question, Kevin.
Please.
And it's what are the post-its for behind you on your closet? Because like Marie is putting post-its everywhere around our apartment as well. And I mean they're amazing. But I'm just curious what you use them for.
Especially when there are tasks on it, they're amazing.
So she's probably telling Cedric, you need to do this. You need
Yes.
to do that. Don't forget that. Take out the trash. Feed the cat. So these
Her mom also
are
showed me what she makes for her dad. So
so these are goals. How much money I want to make this year. These are reminders. Passive income. So I take a page from David Goggins. So what I do is, so this says, over here we have something called the Boys and Girls Club. They're all over the country, right? So I put this up probably a year ago. I finally got an account with them 8 months ago. An 8-week contract turned into a 6-month contract. So now here's what I do. Complete it.
that's nice. I mean, I don't have it behind me, but I'm actually looking at my window where there's still the post-its of the course Marie is building currently. And I think it's amazing because like you're in that sense I think you're quite similar. You put like your goal there and then you always have something that you pause by every single day, so it sticks in your mind. I guess that's what it is there for. Like somehow it's like a passive reminder that's your
Yes.
goal.
It's
So
visualization.
visualization. Here's a great thing that I learned from one of my mentors in martial arts. Think it, ink it.
Great.
Because there's something about writing it down versus keeping it in your head. Write it down. Like I used to keep, and I got to do it again. I used to keep a gratuity journal. Thank yous for whatever. And I would thank the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, for what I have, what I've gone through, and where I'm going. Like it's already here. So what do they say to go forward with something? Think like it's already here. Think like it's already here. Marie's course is already here. And she's right, visualization. Because eventually, here's what's going to happen. You're going to get old enough, and this is my birthday card from my girlfriend. See the two old people? Inside it says, is it 8 p.m. already?
That's a good one.
I keep that out just to bust my chops.
All right, Kevin. So thank you so much. I think that we really went from the left to the right, from
To the middle,
who are you? Actually,
to
as
the
a
rotation.
yes, we even get some of the showtime about the swords and also the post-it, yes, and the visualization. So thank you so much for such a fruitful discussion around your business and around you. And we will definitely be with you in touch online, but maybe even in the future in person,
Sure.
because we also spoke about
Absolutely.
energy, and the energy is really important. So if we will be in Boston, or you
Absolutely.
will be in Croatia or Belgium or Czech Republic,
Or in Europe because
yes, or in
the
Europe,
travel is
it's
short.
general, yes,
Oh,
it's
you're
just
going to bring me
behind the
into
border.
you're going to bring me into Belgium and do a certification course, right?
Yes.
And a
Exactly.
fitness trainer course, right?
Exactly.
That's called Inception, but it's really not. That's obvious.
All right, so thank you so much, and we wish you have a nice rest of the day, and to our audience as well, and see you during our next episode, which will be next week.
I
So
appreciate that. As for my Thai boxing background, cup, thank you very much.
thank you.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for the conversation.